All right, here we go, y'all. So we're back for our last segment. This is a little impromptu culture segment that we're going to do. So for those of you guys that have been keeping up with Under Construction and watched last week's episode, first and foremost, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for the support. But you guys would remember that I did a piece on a situation going on here in Charlotte at a cemetery out off of Beatties-Ford Road. Yeah. Long story short, there's a cemetery out there called Cedar Grove, and it's an African American cemetery, and it's been out there since about the 1950s, Rodney, 1850s. 1850s. It's been out there since the 1850s. So long story short, I started I don't want to say a movement, but I got some friends. A movement, man. I got some friends that come out there, and we did some cleanup. And Rodney was one of the ones that came out there. So I'm gonna shut up, and I'm gonna just let Rodney speak on the entire situation. And Jamal, I know you weren't out there, but feel free to ask your questions because it was a pretty ugly situation.
So we got out there, and the land was completely dilapidated. It's sad that the city let this get out of hand. I looked up some information. The property is owned by the Cedar Grove Management Company, and there's a rule in North Carolina, something like that if a property is abandoned like that, the city takes control. Yep. And the city has let this down. You have veterans buried out there. Yep. And thank you we're going to people that are out there. We're going to reach out to some of the veterans people to get some assistance as well. We walked out there, man. We saw used condoms, drug paraphernalia, pants, drugs, all types of stuff, and it's right next to a school. That is a dangerous situation. I'm pretty sure kids walk to school every day. Somebody could drag those kids in the woods. You wouldn't be able to find them. And
here's one of the worst things about it. As we were out there cleaning up, there were people who actually live in the neighborhood that were walking up, and they were asking us, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And we would say, "Hey, we're cleaning up the cemetery." And they're like, "What cemetery?"
Wow.
And we're like, "There's a cemetery right here." So it was so bad that people in the neighborhood didn't even know that it was a cemetery. And I'll say one more thing before I let you guys go. Rodney was speaking to some of the graves and the poor condition that they're in. You know, when you see a headstone, you know how you see the person's name, you see the birthday, the day that they died. There may be some sort of scripture and their contribution to society. There's a few headstones that they were World War II veterans and all that good stuff, right? But we couldn't even see the date of their death. Because there was the ground had grown so much since the 70s, and it was just like we were out there cleaning up, and about 2 or 3 hours into it, I was like, "Yo, we've done a lot of work." This and it was looking great, and I was feeling pretty proud of myself. And there's this trail off to the left that lets you see more of the cemetery. Mm-hmm. So I said, "You know what? Let me go and walk this trail just to see what it looks like." And as I walked the trail, I damn near started crying.
It was so much trash. It was graves. It was grave sites that we couldn't even see with the naked eye. We had to go and look, and there are literally graves still back there that if we went out there every Saturday, it'd probably take almost 2 years.
Yeah, if we went out there every Saturday with the tools that we had, we would be at this for a good year or two.
We had chainsaws. We had a truck to carry all the garbage and debris, and that still wasn't enough. Yeah. So we need to galvanize the Charlotte community to reach out to the city politicians and the county boards and everything like that to actually do something about this. Because I'm just about to say something that's not even shocking. If this was in Ballantyne, this was in South Park, the graves would not be in this condition.
And it's sad that you mentioned that, because for those of you that don't know or aren't in the know as far as this situation, there's a man who's been leading this charge, trying to get people to come out there and clean up for over a year now. And his name is Lee Johnson, and he was telling us some of the things that he's witnessed over the last year or so. He told me there's a story. There's this lady. I can't remember what side of town that she lived on, but she went to go visit her dad's gravesite. And she goes to visit the gravesite, and there's like 4 or 5 leaves on the gravesite. So rather than remove the leaves off of the gravesite, which most likely is what I would do, she left in a fit of rage, called whoever she called, and complained about there being leaves out there. Not only were they out there within a day to clean the leaves off the gravesite, the news came out there and reported as well. Meanwhile, we have trees literally growing where there are bodies resting at.
Knocking down tombstones and everything.
First and foremost, man, props to y'all. I hate I couldn't make it out there, man. Just life calls, man, and I truly couldn't make it out there. So number one, man, much props to y'all for bringing attention to this, man, and bringing it to the forefront, man. And obviously, there's still a lot of work to do. Second of all, I can't express enough my disgust for the quote unquote property management or lack thereof. My disgust for the city of Charlotte for allowing this to happen, and God knows how long this has been going on. I went on, I think it was your Facebook page, and I was looking at the video and the pictures, man, and I saw, and I'm like, man, I'm not by far like a landscape expert, but I'm pretty sure a tree is not supposed to be growing right next to a grave, and it's heartbreaking, man. And I just, I had to personalize it and think to myself, like, man, if that was one of my loved ones' grave stuff out there, man, I don't know what I do, dude. I really don't know how I would react, man. And hopefully, if not us or somebody can speak to maybe some family members, of these buried loved ones, man, because y'all know my favorite saying is the optics look bad, man, and just to kind of
what if I told you that there are family members of those of some of those buried in that cemetery living in that very same neighborhood,
man. I'm gonna say this, man. Just kind of speak to the same thing Rodney spoke to, man. Why is it when it comes to the west side of town, or let's just be blunt, the black side of town, when everybody's ready to make it better, so to speak, things get done really quickly. When something is being gentrified, things get improved very, very, very quickly. But when there's no money to be made off of a certain piece of land, when there's no money to be made off of a certain side of town, it gets ignored.
I had this conversation with my wife yesterday. I told her I had this conversation. So that train, streetcar, rail line is coming down Baker Road.
Right.
I said, what if this grave site was near Johnson C. Smith, well, closer to Johnson C. Smith, and all of a sudden, some of those houses got torn down and rebuilt. Man, it would have been. This has been on the news years ago. And they would have been there and cleaned up everything, and people would have utilized their resources, and just because it's a little further down the road, like 20 years is gonna be changed anyways. Let's just be real about
true that.
20 years that neighborhood will be gentrified.
Can I say one thing? Because this is important to say. The residents around Cedar Grove,
they dropped the ball.
They need to be put on blast too.
Yeah.
That is absolutely unacceptable. Yeah. That is absolute. If you live in a neighborhood and your family member is buried in Cedar Grove and you see it in that condition and you don't speak up, that's on you too, man.
Well, to close this out, for anybody that's watching or anybody that's listening, especially if you're here in Charlotte locally, I'm urging all of you guys to, get on the phones, get on your laptops, get on social media, and put the city government on blast. Email the city council, email
county council too.
If it's anything government,
it's time to make this a thing.
Let them know. And if you want to see the pictures and some of the videos, you can do a hashtag search on Facebook for Cedar Grove, or you can go to my professional page, just type in in Vince Dunlap, and you'll see your bearded realtor right there front and center. And just like you'll see all those videos, you see all those pictures, and
before we move on, there are a few more like that in Charlotte.
Yeah, and that's the sad
one
part.
off of Mallard Creek.
Yep.
Where they found hundreds of bodies buried on top of each other. They were going to build a Topgolf on that land too, but there are several more in the Charlotte community
this isn't a one incident thing. This is all throughout the city of Charlotte and the county of Mecklenburg.